Which current Cubs could take a step forward this year and make this a 90-win club? Go Cubs.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into a discussion with you on all things Cubs. Thank you for being part of the show and making us your first listen today. And the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, like the video, and comment anything below. Today's episode is presented by FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Win or lose, visit FanDuel.com to get started. Today's episode, we are going to go over who could take the next step. And Sam, I have in front of me just players returning from the 2024 squad.
Yeah.
Returning players on offense in the starting rotation and in the bullpen. And I think in your cold open, you said it just right. You know, who out of this group needs or even must take a next step in order for them to achieve a specific goal, which to me is winning the division.
Yes. And
that's probably going to take 89, 90 wins like we saw it did last year. So
93 last year.
That's right. That's right. The Brewers, I have a lot of respect for them.
Yeah, me too.
All right, so we're going to start offense, second segment rotation, third segment bullpen.
And I might come in and say I'm expecting this guy to take a step back. What I want to put out, kind of like my projections are for these guys, and who, you know, because we don't need zips or fan graphs. We could just do our own. And I want to tell you some guys that I think need to take a step forward for this thing to go, and some guys I would be surprised if they were able to maintain their success from last year. So let's get into it. This will be a fun day.
Fantastic. So I guess you don't want their WRC plus projections for 2025.
Well, I'll give mine, and then you can compare them.
Fantastic. So I'm going to go traditional broadcast way, third to first, left to right, and then catcher.
Sure.
Okay, thank you so much. So, also Kevin Kugler should have been hired by Marquis.
That was a great tweet by you yesterday.
All right, Dansby Swanson's first because third base is not going to be an incumbent. Dansby Swanson, he's entering the third year of a 7-year deal, Sam. Remember when he signed, we both had to turn around from our winter errands back in December of 22.
I was buying a couch.
There's no other way to put this. He's league average offensively.
Yeah.
He projects to be league average offensively. I understand what he brings in terms of value on the defensive side of the ball. Certainly off-field value as well. But in terms of him as a hitter, he needs to take that next step, and he's done it before. You know, getting back to Braves-ish levels, or even just a little bit more than what he's done his first 2 years in blue and red.
Dansby Swanson is the guy, I believe, of the incumbent players that will take the biggest leap offensively next year. I think he's going to have a better season by a lot. Now, last year he had 242, 312, 390 with what I would call very disappointing and almost misleading 701 OPS, because a lot of that damage came when the season was already put to bed. Dansby Swanson's going to be better than this. His OPS is going to be back in the 740 to 760 range. I would project his WRC plus to get back to 110, 112-ish range, that area. Maybe even, maybe 108. And I think he's going to be much better. In 2023 with our ball club, he had 244, 328. He slugged 416 with a 744 OPS. Really, the big difference there was the slug. And I think Wrigley had a lot to do with that. And, he wasn't fully healthy. And I think Dansby Swanson is going to get back to being a an above average hitting shortstop. I don't think his OPS is going to start with an 8 or anything like that, but 701 is not an acceptable number. I don't care how good he is defensively. And that number is going to get back in the mid 7s. I think he's going to take a big step forward from last year, and I'm pretty confident about it.
Well, and to back up your confidence level, I do believe that his injury was a detriment to his offensive play this past year. And so for that to get clarified over the offseason, hopefully he's having a nice ramp up to reporting to Sloan next month, and he'll be 100% healthy and ready to go. But I like what you're putting down right there. And WRC plus 100 is league average. And right now the computer does not like Dansby Swanson one bit. You're saying 110, 112, which would be great.
108, final answer.
103 they have him at.
Yeah, that's fine.
And
that's where they should have him at. But I think he's going to take a step forward.
And that would be huge. Yeah. That would be huge for this club. And I do too. I would prefer
110.
It wasn't from the 2 spot or the 5 spot.
No.
And it was, 6, 7, or 8.
I love him to be in the
out.
I love him to be in the 7 hole.
Yeah.
7 spot.
He hit there a lot last year. So.
That's a good spot for him.
All right. Second baseman on this team as of right now is Nico Hoerner.
Yeah.
And he had a really, really poor to middle part of the season. Ended off the season strong, especially in September.
Which didn't matter.
I believe he hit like 360 in September, but it was too little too late. And so his back of the baseball card doesn't look too bad. But he was really a below average guy that first third of the year or so. And, this was a player, Sam, that we held in high regard when we first took over the show.
Yeah.
Even pondering if he was going to be an all-star.
Yeah.
And that was when he was a shortstop, by the way.
Well, he was a four-war player when we took over the show. He batted 280 plus.
And offensively, he hits the ball hard, hits a lot of line drives.
He doesn't hit the ball
play
hard.
A lot.
He doesn't hit the ball hard.
He hits a lot of line drives.
Yeah, he hits a lot of line drives. But part of his problem is he doesn't hit the ball hard.
He doesn't hit the ball hard. He doesn't really put the ball in the air. It seemed like he was trying to last year more, and that didn't work out for him either.
No.
He just never developed the slug. I think the Cubs could use more slug at that spot. They could use slug, other places too. Again, a guy that's borderline elite defensively, borderline elite base runner. But for him with the bat this year, Craig Counsell and company is going to be looking for him to do some more damage.
Do you remember what I said last year going into the year with Hoerner?
No.
I said I want one of two things needs to be done. He either needs to have a 3 in front of his batting average, or he has to have 15 home runs.
Okay.
He wasn't close to either. Last year he batted 273. You adequately, beautifully pointed out that most of that 273, when the season was really on the line, he was in the 250s, which is inexcusable for an average hitter like him. He's still in the 99th percentile in the major leagues when it comes to whiff percentage and K percentage. He's brilliant at making contact. Expected batting average was 280. The hard hit rate, the barrel rate, all that stuff is really, really bad. But that's how he is. He is a Stephen Kwan, Luis Arraez type profile hitter. The only problem is he just has to get the hits. I need Nico Hoerner to be in the mid 280s, 290s this year. WRC plus for him is a deceiving stat because it doesn't really fit what he does. He's a contact guy. Nico Hoerner will be better in 2025. He will take a step forward. He was a better player than he showed last year.
And Fangraphs has his projection at 106. There's some hot stove news coming across this evening as it possibly ramps back up. Gavin Lux to the Reds, Michael Lorenzen to the Royals.
What was the Lorenzen deal about? 1 year, 10?
1 year, 7.
Really?
A great deal for the Royals.
Oh, that's against the market a bit.
Yeah, it is. So interesting to see how
Maybe
maybe there's a little snowball effect here or not. Next up is Michael Busch, who, when he was on, he was one of my. I would say when Michael Busch was on last year, he was one of the better guys to take at bats. And when he was off, it was one of the worst.
it's a great
There
way
was
to put it.
stretches where he would just swing at the air. I mean,
Yes.
it'd be breaking ball, changeup, slider, swing at the air, and there's a lot of swing and miss. I think he knows the zone pretty well. I would say he's advanced at that, and obviously he offers some slug. 21 homers last year. Really intriguing player in my mind, and maybe the one that not necessarily I tie the most to him entering this year in terms of winning that division title. But shoot, first base, we know how important that is in this game from an offensive perspective. And I hope that he's able to do a little more.
I'm not confident that that's the case.
Right.
I think that my expectation going into the year is about the same. Couple interesting statistics here. Michael Busch expected batting average last year. Any guesses?
Expected average?
Yeah.
280?
217.
Oh, it's the opposite. Okay.
Yeah. He overperformed.
Oh.
And it makes sense, right? Because he struck out a lot.
Yeah.
So the fact that he still was able to hit 250 or whatever it was, he had some batted ball luck and things like that. For him to take a step forward, he's going to really have to adjust his approach. It just seemed like Busch, to me, a lot of his swings last year were predetermined, and a lot of his takes last year were predetermined. And I just don't think that's a sustainable form of success. So I feel really good about Dansby improving. I feel really good about Nico improving. I don't feel very good about Michael Busch improving for next year, which I know will probably and he may improve in the power department because of the Wrigley situation. I think 21 homers is a little light, but just the overall slash line, I wasn't as impressed as a lot of other people were last year because I expected him to be pretty good. So we'll have to see.
All right, let's get to Hap, PCA, Seiya, and Amaya right after this. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Whether it's a Cubs game, comedy show, or a concert, I love going to live events. And now Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. The experience of searching for and then buying tickets on Game Time is simple. Plus, Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code Locked On MLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it?
It's game time.
All right, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 more players.
Let me save you some time.
Returnees for the Cubs on offense, Sam.
I expect Hap and Seiya to be the exact same.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think I've given up on Ian taking that step forward and just accepted him for who he is.
Yeah.
And with Seiya, again, I just haven't seen any evidence that he will just absolutely break out. I've just accepted the fact that he's a really good statistical hitter that's just a tier below the guy that we would love for him to be. I expect both of them to be the exact same.
Well, and that's what the computer says too. They have Hap at 117 for WRC plus. They have Seiya at 121, and that's above average, right? But it's a number, especially in Seiya's case, that I would like to see
130
at 130 or so. And how much better would the Cubs be if that was the case? How much better would the Cubs be if Kyle Tucker had 30 plus homers? And they had another player, which the likely candidate would be Seiya, hit 30 plus. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know. I hope it happens. But right now, the computer doesn't like Seiya doing that. I don't like him doing that. I hope it happens.
And I don't like the computer. How's that?
Happen Seiya are reliable, and you might make a case that it's reliability to a fault if you want. They're going to hit first, second, or third, or fourth, some combo there. But yeah, I get what you're saying there, and I know you don't like computers, but that's how this show runs. So,
who's that?
Here's an interesting one. PCA, Pete
Yeah.
Crow Armstrong, has a WAR inflation because of elite base running and defense. Offensively last year, there were spurts where it was like, wow, okay, let's go. But as he said at the Winter Classic, offensively, there are a lot of steps he needs to take forward, and his 25 projection is 97. Which is below average, just below average.
Yeah, I think if he could get to 100, that'd be really awesome for this club. Last year, what was it, like the high 80s, I think?
Yeah.
He had a 670 OPS last year. I think I would be surprised if that number didn't start with a 7 next year. I'm expecting PCA internally to take a step forward, and I would not be shocked if it was a large one. In the 2025 campaign, I'm expecting him to be right around 720, because the guy's got power, man. The only thing that he really, really, really has to figure out is pitch recognition and when to swing and when not to swing, which of course is like not a small thing at all. But he showed spurts last year. He had a month or two where he was in the 8s, like OPS wise. Like this guy, he can run and he can hit for power. I think that number, lowballing it, would be 750, something like that. And 750 would be a great target number.
Well, as you started saying on shows in September, what has a guy like him done this offseason? Has he been in the cage just taking thousands of pitches, for recognition? Because I think that and the weight room for him, I believe we targeted as, hey, that's some work that he can do.
Yeah, I just don't want to mess with his speed.
Right.
No, I think he's going to take a step forward.
Lastly, here is Miguel Amaya,
yeah,
who's projected really well right now. You want to guess what Fangraphs has for him, WRC?
Let me pull up his stuff from last year, if you don't mind.
Because he had that post-July 4th adjustment that did show encouraging signs at the plate.
98?
102.
Wow. If they could get a 102 WRC plus with it's starting
Carson Kelly's at 98.
It's starting to make sense why the computers are high on the Cubs when you break it down like this, because I think Swanson takes a big leap. I think Hoerner takes a step forward. I think PCA takes a step forward. Happen say I don't think takes steps back, and I do believe Miguel Amaya is going to take a step forward this year.
This is optimism, folks.
Yeah. The only guy I don't feel super confident about, as I mentioned, is Michael Busch, and then we're not even considering the fact that you're going to get a step forward from third base, even if I play the position, for what it was last year. And then there's a left-handed hitter that they acquired from Houston who's going to give him a big leap. So
yes,
2025 internally, I think overall you're going to see better performances from some of these guys. They underperformed collectively as a group last year, and I expect better results, partly just because of environment and partly because I think guys are going to make adjustments and be better overall offensively.
Given the specific goal of winning the NL Central, out of this group on offense, who do you think must take it?
Yeah.
Must take the next step?
That's a beautiful question.
I think it's one of the dudes up the middle, Hoerner or Swanson.
Yeah, I wish you'd let me answer, because now it just sounds like I got it from you.
Okay. I'll write that in my notes.
I'm just messing with you. Who must take a step forward?
Right.
Well, I think who
Right.
must. It's a well.
Yes, we've heard you repeat.
Can I phrase it like this before I answer?
You could change the phrasing. Yeah,
Suzuki or Happ can't take a step back.
that's a good phrasing. I like that.
That we have, assuming we get the same from them and we get Kyle Tucker being Kyle Tucker. I think Dansby Swanson is the guy for me.
Okay.
I think he needs to be in the 740s, 750s and be good for most of the year, assuming you get a normal Happ year and a normal Say a year and a Tucker. I'm going to say Dansby Swanson, but man, if Hoerner could just be a 305 guy with his speed and his bat to ball skills, he's such a lovely player when he's finding, grass in the outfield.
Absolutely. All right. I like that. I like that answer. I'm going to go with Hoerner.
Okay. So we're going up the middle.
Especially amid the trade rumors this winter.
I'm going to go with Brujan.
Coming up, Brujan might end the season in the KBO. Coming up next. Sorry, was that a shot? I don't know. I apologize.
He's not listening.
Let's do the starting and relief pitchers next.
This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same-game parlays, and so much more. Switching over to the college ranks, Illinois continues to be underranked by the AP. That came out today. They're 13th in the country, but their net rating is 7, and they're in the top 10 in KenPom. I'm starting to get tired and fatigued of those rankings. This is not the 13th best team in the country. They almost beat the Tennessee at home on a buzzer beater. They're 2 games away from being right there. So a little disrespected, but we'll make that up. Visit the website and share betting lines around your team or league. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the National Football League.
All right, we close out today's episode by evaluating, hey, who needs to take the next step of the returning group for the Cubs in 2025. We're going to do that with the rotation, and we could then pick out a couple names out of the bullpen.
I got an easy. This is easy.
Because there's a litany of names that could return in the bullpen. So
hey, Matt.
Rotation then is really 3 names, and then Assad and Wicks if you want to venture in those ways, Sam, but we don't have to. So Steele, Imanaga, and Tyone are up first, and all 3 of them at one point last year as a trio were literally leading the major leagues in starting pitching. Steele and Imanaga I feel good about. I think Tyone got away with a lot of things last year. How sustainable is that? I am concerned. I would like him to be the 4th starter on this club. Right now he's 3. What do you think about this starting pitching group?
The answer is nobody needs to take a step forward. If they do exactly what they did last year, it would be lovely.
Yeah.
I feel very good about Steele. I think it's going to be really hard for Imanaga to replicate what he did last season. I just think that he pitched in such great conditions for himself. The only counter is he ended up with a 2.91, man, and he had a couple starts that he probably won't have next year, like the 11 earned runs. But it just felt like anecdotally there were so many balls that died at the track for Imanaga last year. But I don't expect him to regress mightily. I just don't think you're going to get that version of him. And then Tyone, I feel like the simple and lazy, I'll even admit lazy, way to analyze him is he was not as bad as he was in year 1, and he was not as good as he was in year 2, and he's somewhere in between those 2 guys, and that's probably the version that we'll see in 2025. But to answer the question, who needs to take a step forward? Nobody does. If they're able to replicate what they did last year, and this offense doesn't go 2 months without hitting the ball, this is going to be a good baseball team.
Absolutely, and we've talked unfortunately several times on episodes during the stretch run of the year last year. Actually, I misspoke. May and June and July of last year of, hey, you're wasting these guys' efforts. And they really did do that in some of those stretches. Obviously, the whole collective played better post July 4th, but the pitchers were always pitching well, aside from a starter too.
Yep.
And Imanaga's season for a pitcher is one of the wildest transitions from Japan, I think, in the history of the game. He had a better for players leaving Japan for the States. He had a better year with the Cubs in 24 than in Japan in 23. That was wild to see that. And I'm glad he's on our club. I do have concerns about Tyone and Assad, and I'm more bullish on Wicks, but I just don't know what role he's going to have. And then really for the bullpen, Sam, there's so many moving parts here. So I think for now, I just want to go over Porter Hodge and Tyson Miller.
Yep.
Who are the two best returnees. And Tyson Miller etched out a nice little role for him last year. I think we both would have liked to have seen him used in more higher leverage spots earlier based on his performance. He didn't get that until later in the summer. But, I like what I saw from him and Hodge. I think as of right now, Hodge would pitch the 9th inning. Maybe he slots into the 8th if they get someone who has done the job of closer before. Fangraph does not like Tyson Miller at all, which is interesting to me. But what do you think about those two guys?
Well, let me just rewind real quick because I just want to back up a couple things on Savant. So Tyone expected ERA last year was 4.05. He finished the year at 3.27. So that's just, you get concerned with that type of number. Imanaga was 3.39 expected ERA. He finished the year at 2.91. So, that doesn't necessarily always translate, how I say about that. But it felt like the one thing that those two guys did brilliantly, which I do think is sustainable, is they just didn't walk anybody. They didn't walk anybody.
Yeah.
So that helps. As far as those two guys go, Tyson Miller, I don't expect to be as good. He started to fade at the end of the year. Hodge was legit, man. And his numbers last year, like I'm on Savant, expected ERA of 2.63, even though he was a 1.88, but he didn't pitch that many innings. Expected batting average 175 against him. This is a guy that when you go on those Savant pages, it's all red, man. It's red, which is
That's
above
awesome.
above average. He's legit. We're basically two opposite situations. Imanaga and Tyone versus Hodge. Hodge's problem is, can he just not walk people?
Other names out there
He's
returning: Pearson, Merriweather, Thompson, Brown, and Little, but we just don't know yet what their roles are going to be or even what their health is like until camp opens and spring training games start to get underway. I think the bullpen will be a focus point of ours, evaluating game performance, right, Sam, for the bullpen going into Japan, then going into the March 27th second opening day, if you will.
Absolutely. And hopefully this was a breath of fresh air for some people, because I do think what we've talked about overall, I think, and it makes sense. I think on the pitching side, we're a little bit concerned just because
it's a great episode, by the way.
Things were a little bit probably better than they should have been, but I also think it's going to cancel it out offensively, and we're going to take some steps forward, and then that kind of leaves it up to Tucker and some of these relief pitchers to be better and get us to where we need to go. So
thank you so much for checking out this edition of Locked On Cubs. You give us 20 to 30 minutes. We'll give you all things Cubs with a laugh or two along the way. Be sure to hit subscribe on YouTube as we make the push to 12,000 subscribers. Smash the like button for the algorithm and leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, and everywhere you get your podcast. Remember, next Friday, we will be at Cubs Convention from 4 to 5:30 at the Shy Bar there in the Sheraton Grand Chicago. Then we'll be at the convention all Friday and Saturday long. To please come find us, say hello. Would love to meet everybody that is there. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.
See ya.